Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something incredibly cool to take a look at, something I'm very excited about. We have more of the Para Bellum Conquest models here. Not long ago, well actually probably at this point it was maybe a couple months ago, so I guess it's a little while ago, I had reviewed some very cool raptor riders, as well as an incredibly cool looking feathered T-Rex, and these were all models that were part of the Para Bellum Conquest line. And I now have another set of models here that has just recently released. This is called the Hunting Pack, and as you can see, we have a whole bunch of really cool different various raptors, and all of these raptors are very cool, very stylized versions. Obviously, none are based on actual dinosaurs that we know of. They're just weird, kind of creative looking fantasy style raptor figures, and each one is different, and I think that is just really cool. Again, I love the way that the Para Bellum line creates their own very unique looking dinosaurs. We've seen it with the raptor riders, as those raptors were very, very cool looking. Again, not actually based off of any known species specifically, I would imagine, and that's exactly what we have here with these ones. But these ones are actually way smaller than the raptor rider figures that we had reviewed prior. We are just basically like decreasing in size with these models because we started with the T-Rex, which was really quite big. Then we went to the Raptor Riders, which they were quite a bit smaller than the Rex. And now we have these guys, and in comparison to the Raptors that we had in the Raptor Riders set, I would say these ones here are almost like Compsognathus sized raptors. So we have some very, very small ones this time around. You can see a lot of them are kind of leaning here up against the back, and that's because these are, a lot of them are like based in running positions, and they're kind of like 1 foot up off of the ground and stuff like that. So they can't really stand on their own in that position. That's just the way gravity works. We have two here in the front, though, that are in a walking position that you can see obviously can support their body and everything and hold themselves up, but obviously the ones that are running with 1 foot up in the air, that's not going to work out for those guys. But we have a little stand over here to the left that we're going to glue them on so that we can check them out all standing up and looking very cool in a little bit. But until then, let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at all of these right now. Now again, here you can actually get a pretty good idea of how small these figures are. You can see that this one fits very nicely here in my hand, so it's really quite small. Another thing to take note of as far as these figures go is the fact that they come completely unbuilt and unpainted. So basically what you would receive is kind of like a plastic model kit where you just have a whole bunch of different pieces that you have to kind of disconnect and then build and of course paint yourself. I just kind of went ahead and put the pieces on as I saw fit and what I thought looked cool. So they again will vary compared to how you might make them, but this is basically the ones that I had gone ahead and built them the way that I built them and the way that I painted them. So of course all of the paintwork and everything here is done by me. But the very first one that we have here is a very cool looking one straight away that I thought was so unique because it almost looks like it has a crest, like a Parasaurolophus type crest up here on the head. So it was one that instantly drew my attention, and you can see again that as far as like the fine detail goes, these things are incredibly highly detailed for their size. They do sport some fantastic detailing. Again, we have a nice skin textured type look there for the snout of this raptor. You can see that the eyes are actually, like the eye socket area and everything are very, very nicely sculpted. As you lead back to the back of the head, you pick up on some really cool feathers back there on the back of the head of our raptor. And again, it's not exactly clear to me if this is meant to be a crest, but it really looks like a crest. Again, very similar to like a Parasaurolophus type crest. You can also see some beautiful looking skin detail here on the underside of the throat. Nice skin wrinkles and everything going on there. This is another of the raptors that are in a running position, so you can see how the one leg is up. And you can also see how the sickle claw is extended, which looks really cool. You've got nice scoots down the fingers and everything, and a lot of the models are going to look fairly similar as far as like the sculpt goes, because they all kind of have like that scoot-like appearance down the fingers, of course 3 fingers, and you're going to have the sickle claw abundant on all of the figures because again you are dealing with raptors, so they're all going to have that similar look. But you can see that again this has a really cool dynamic pose as it's running along. But after you lead down from those feathers in the neck region, you do pick up some nice skin texture, but as quickly as that picks up, you can see it tapers off and transitions to more feathering right here in the hip region, and that feathering runs out the length of the tail, but only on the upper side. And I gave them, some nice grays and stuff as far as the feathers go. I thought it looked pretty cool. And we also have a nice speckling here, almost looks giraffe-like in a way. But again, you can see just like wavy detail galore as far as the feathers go. Very realistic and lifelike as far as the feather detail, because you can see it's not really super precise. It's just kind of all over the place, and I really like that. Very nice imperfections and everything throughout. You also have a beautiful curve to the tail, and then again, if you look over here, you can again see how the dinosaur is facing away from us. You can see stretching in the skin. The hand up there is ready to go to attack whatever it's going after. You can see the leg outstretched as the raptor is running, and again the feather detail as well as the beautiful tail here as we lead out the length of the tail. This one again is really cool. You can even see the rib cage and everything. But this one is really cool. It was one of the ones that really drew me in, drew my attention just because of how unique it looked. And then we have this one, which is equally as interesting, I would say, because this one almost has like a slight sail running along the back. It has another sort of a small sail up here on the back of the head, and then kind of like some little areas out here that are almost like a very, very small sail, or just very large ridges at the tip of the tail. The majority of this one, though, is more of like a skin textured type of a look, more so than feathering. I don't really see any feathers on this guy at all. Again, in a running position, and like I said, you can kind of reposition your figures to look however you would like, although when it comes to like the legs, you'll see it if you actually get the models, but there are very specific kind of shapes and stuff that would show you what legs attach to what figure. But you can see that the arms are held out in a really cool kind of a menacing position as this one runs toward you and, you know, reaches out to grab you. The mouth is also open on this one, which is something we didn't see on the last one, but actually on the last one I didn't really point it out, I don't think. There you can kind of see the inside of the mouth. It is open slightly. It almost looks like it's snarling at us a little bit, but this one absolutely has its mouth full on open, ready to go, and clearly is running in for a kill of some kind. But you can again see some beautiful detailing throughout, lots of really nice looking skin texture. You can pick up on the rib cage, nice muscle definition in the limbs and everything. You can really see how the skin is stretching there as those arms are outstretched leading off of the shoulder area. Yet again, the paintwork is all done by me on all of these, so yours can turn out and look however you would like. But I thought this one looked pretty cool as far as the coloration goes. I was fairly happy with it, and again you can see what it looks like on this side. Really, really cool looking design yet again as far as this one goes. I'm definitely a fan of how unique these figures look. And then we have this one that heads more closely toward a traditional raptor in a sense, because there is a large amount of feathering and the head doesn't look super peculiar or anything, like there's no weird sails, no crests or anything on this one. But at the same time, again, it also looks quite different from what your average raptor would look like. But yet again, you can see that the mouth is in an open position. This time we have the tongue extended quite nicely here. You can see all the teeth and everything inside the mouth are very nicely sculpted out. The majority of the head of this one, as well as the neck, is coated with a really nice amount of feathering. You can see some of the feathers poking there off of the back of the neck. Again, really cool how highly detailed the feathers are on something so insanely small. This one as well has a really dynamic positioning to it, because you could see it's turning and kind of leaning down and maybe like about to reach up to bite and attack something. I'm not entirely sure what it's going after, but it absolutely is coming down toward the ground and then leaning up for a kill. You can see how cool it looks over here. Again, as you lead back here into the neck, you can see those feathers, but they taper off again, and you lead back into some skin texture. But then as quickly as you do that, in the shoulder area, we pick up on some feathers, and you can see those feathers lead out the length of the back. They run down into the thighs a little bit, and then lead out into the tail, but then they kind of taper off, and we lead back to a skin texture for the tail. And it looks really cool. Again, each one of these raptors, it's amazing how different each one is from each other, but still all of them look so creative. You can again see the twist in the body. Really, really cool looking. Again, you've also got that leg planted, but this leg is trailing now, whereas the last two, the leg was leading as far as the leg that was up off of the ground. This time it's again trailing as this raptor comes in for a kill. And hopefully my paintwork has done the figures justice. I don't know how good it is, especially seeing how small they are. I don't know how great my paintwork is on these, but I was pretty happy for the most part with the majority of them. And that one, again, is definitely another really cool one. But this one's almost kind of bordering on like your classic raptor type look, but at the same time a little different. But this time you can see that I again used I kind of recycled the head, well, not really recycled, but used the same head that we had on this other one, but I have a different body for this one this time. So you can see that we do have that kind of like sail-like crest there on the back of the head, but then the rest of the body almost looks like your classic, maybe like 1990s or earlier type of a raptor type look, where we just have a standard, type of velociraptor or Deinonychus type of a body with the skin texture and everything. There's no feathering, nothing crazy or unique going on as far as the appearance of this one outside of that kind of sail-like crest there on the top of the head. But I tried to give it kind of a coloration that looked flashy enough that it looked unique, but at the same time appealing looking. Definitely some pretty interesting tones of color that I think I used on this one, and I felt like it turned out okay. Almost a little exotic as far as the coloration goes. But again, if my camera would stay focused on it, you can absolutely see how super highly detailed these are for how small they are. It's really quite impressive. You can see the arms are also open as this one comes in again for a kill of some kind. Again, an absolutely awesome looking, very, very, very tiny raptor figure. Then we've got this guy, and this guy was also super unique. You can see again we have a partial feathering to this one, but the majority of the feathers lie out here on the end of the tail. You can see that we can see the skin texture part of the tail, but the feathers kind of run along the top and the bottom of the tail here, and you can see how erratic they are and how cool they look. And the majority of the rest of the figure has this really nice look as far as like the skin texture and everything goes. But as you lead up here, and it's a little hard to see on this side because the hand's kind of obscuring it, but in the neck region of this one, there is like this big area, like a big bump and kind of like some hanging skin. Super strange looking, super unique, and I absolutely love it. You can also see that the head sculpt looks pretty cool. We kind of have like some small, almost Allosaurus-like crests on this one. I wish my camera would focus better on it, but you can see that it looks really cool. Again, the rest of the figure looks similar to the rest of them as far as that just kind of like really cool running pose, creating that really nice dynamic look. We've got the mouth open on this one, but the tongue is more relaxed, whereas the other ones kind of had their tongue sticking out with the mouth open, so creating again even more difference between them. You can see even the undersides of the figures are really nicely done as far as the detailing goes, but again, just super cool. And some of them here, well, actually, I would imagine all of them have this little area of like the earth on the underneath. So with the base is basically just a big plastic, like a black circle. It doesn't really come with anything to kind of give you that earthy texture or earthy look or anything, but you can go ahead and create something for yourself if you would like, and each figure would then have that little base type area to attach down into that, and you can kind of paint them all the same or paint them differently. I kind of painted the majority of them differently, but this one seems to be running over a nice kind of mossy area. But you can again see how the claws and everything are all up. Very, very cool looking. Beautiful curvatures in the toes as the raptors are running along and everything. Again, you can see the muscle definition, the incredible skin texture, and yet again, a really cool paint job, I think, for this one. I was really quite happy with the coloration of this one. It's not every day you can create a blue dinosaur and have it look natural, and I felt like this one looked okay as far as that one goes. But again, the next one is a very unique looking one, very different from all of the others, and this time you can see that we have almost like a Dilophosaurus type of a crest up there on the top of the head. Incredibly unique looking head sculpt yet again on this one, but then we also have a lot of ridges running along this one. You can see very, very spiky ridges running along the back of the neck, leading down here into the back of the dinosaur and out the length of the tail. He almost reminds me a little bit of Beetlejuice when he pops the spikes out of him, but you can also see that we have more of those ridges running along the outer sides of the tail as well, so almost like a kind of an armored version of a raptor. And this one looks really cool. Again, it's running along, but it doesn't look super, ferocious. It's not coming in for a kill. The leg that is up off of the ground is trailing on this one, and it doesn't look like it's coming in any type of like a violent fashion, maybe just following the others. The teeth are sticking out of the mouth slightly there. You can kind of see again, this one almost looks like it's snarling, similar to the others, but it's not really doing too much as far as that goes. I gave this one kind of like a grayish coloration with a few different tones included, and kind of tried to highlight the ridges and everything with a lighter tone so that it stood out pretty nicely. But I do like how we have like almost like a little bit of a Dilophosaurus type of a look for this raptor, but clearly again it is another raptor as we have those sickle claws there for it. But yet again, a really unique looking figure. And the final one might be one of the most unique versions of a raptor of all. As you can see, we've got ourselves a frill for this one, so we're going like almost full-blown Jurassic Park when it comes to that kind of frill-like look for this version of a raptor, and I thought that as well was pretty cool. Again, they really went above and beyond to give us some of the most unique-looking raptors that I'll probably ever see in this set. This one is kind of crouched a little bit, almost coming in like it's about to lunge. However, both feet are planted, so this is one of the two that I have currently that have both feet planted and can stand. You can see that the majority of this one, though, is just a skin texture. There's no feathering or anything for this one either, but it also does kind of have those Allosaurus-type crests. There you can kind of see it like we were just talking about on the other one, how it kind of had like crests. This one as well sort of has that look. The mouth is open, but not open super wide or anything. The frill is kind of relaxed here on this one. It's not like sticking out or extended like you would see on like a Jurassic Park Dilophosaurus or anything like that. There are none that are included in this set that have that look where the frill would be extended, but you can see it looks really cool, honestly, as far as kind of like this very exaggerated sort of a raptor with a frill. You can again see the walking position. This foot's picking up off of the ground. The other foot's planted. Again, has a nice little earthy area there. And again, I give it kind of an okay looking paint job, I think. I kind of, with some of them, took elements of the artwork that Para Bellum had created for the models themselves and kind of made it my own, sort of mixed it up a little bit. So there's like the best of both worlds. My own personal touch. Some of them also are sort of inspired by the paint jobs that they had come up with. But definitely, again, some really cool figures. These little hunting party raptors are awesome. And then this is the stand that you have, and you can kind of disconnect that, take it out if you would like, but it's really just a plastic stand, and I'm going to glue them on here. I'm not going to probably create any kind of like a really cool earthy area or anything for mine. I think I'm just going to keep them just on here because all of the different earthy areas of mine that I created kind of have like a different look as far as the coloration goes. So I don't think it would be too easy to create a base where I could accommodate all of them, but I'm just going to probably glue them on here really quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and check them out from there. So there we go. We have all of our hunting party here glued down on the base. Definitely look awesome there as they're all standing finally together, and they're honestly a ton of fun to build and paint. They really are, especially being so small. I always like painting smaller figures because I feel like it's more of a challenge at times to paint smaller figures and have them actually look good. So hopefully these turned out okay. You guys can definitely let me know in the comments section what you thought of the paint jobs and, of course, of the figures themselves. But as far as a size goes, we're not going to be able to measure each and every one of them. It's just going to be a bit of a task to try to do that. So we'll just run the tape measure here over the top, and you can definitely see that, again, they are really quite small. Definitely some tiny figures. You're looking at right around like the I'd say about 4-inch range, maybe a little over, maybe 4¼ inches as far as a width goes for the entire base. And as you can see, all of these figures fit on there. But I think what would probably help to give you a better idea of the size would be a size comparison. So for that, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our really cool hunting party figures, and you can definitely see that they are tiny. Look at how small they are, even next to the Attack Pack Colovosaurus. I feel like that really shows off how incredibly small these figures are overall, because the Attack Pack Colovosaurus isn't really the largest figure in the world. But for another comparison, here is one of the Kinder Egg Jurassic World Dominion figures with the Triceratops there on the left, and then you have a Captives Dimetrodon on the right. So you can really see, again, both of these are really quite small figures, especially the Kinder Egg figure, and these raptors are somehow even smaller than the Kinder Egg figure there. But I mean, I guess in a way they're similarly sized, like height-wise, they're probably a tiny bit taller, but as far as overall body mass, the raptors are obviously a lot more slender and everything, so they're not too far off, I guess, as far as the size compared to those Kinder Egg figures, but definitely, again, still showing off how incredibly small yet insanely highly detailed these figures are. And then for one final comparison, if you happen to have the Raptor Riders that I was speaking of that I have reviewed in the past here from the Para Bellum Conquest line, we have one of the Raptor Riders here on the right and then our hunting party figures here on the left. So I really feel like this here should be probably one of the most impressive size comparisons I can give you guys, because previously the The Raptor Riders were definitely the smallest figures that I had from the Para Bellum Conquest line, and as you can see, these new hunting party figures completely changed that and are obviously way smaller than our previous Raptors. So these really cool Para Bellum Conquest brand new hunting party figures, these Raptors, are incredibly cool, and just in general, the entire Para Bellum line is just awesome because I love the designs they come up with. They're always so unique. The design team for their models honestly should be commended for their incredible work, because when it comes to creating something that just looks so different, yet they have the same familiar aspects of dinosaurs that we know and love. And in fact, they actually have the best of both worlds when it comes to these dinosaurs, because some are scaly, some are feathered, so no matter which side you are on, you get both of them. So definitely really cool. Again, incredibly unique would be the phrase that you can use as far as the appearance of each of these figures. Each and every one of them have a very different look compared to what you would normally see on a Raptor, when it comes to some having kind of like a crest, and then you have others that have almost like a sail. You have some that have crests like a Dilophosaurus. You have some that have even that Jurassic Park style kind of frill. So there's just so much as far as difference goes when it comes to each and every one of these figures, yet they are all just equally as highly detailed and beautiful. They all sport insanely highly detailed sculpts for their size, and I feel like the amount of detail included on these for the size of the figures is incredibly impressive, because they are just super tiny but sport the same amount of detail that you would see on a much larger figure, especially when it comes to the figures that have the feathers. I really love the feather detail of the Para Bellum line. I was a huge fan of it on their Rex, on their Raptors, as well as these smaller Raptors, so I'm definitely loving what I see as far as the sculpt goes when it comes to the feathers of pretty much every Para Bellum release. But that's not to take away from the scaly dinosaurs here as well, or the skin textured type dinosaurs, because I see more skin texture rather than actual scales on these guys, but they look amazing. The detailing on those as well are, again, as highly detailed as it gets. You've got all kinds of skin wrinkles. You can see the rib cage, the muscle definition, all kinds of detail included as far as fine detail. And again, on something so small, it really is quite mind-blowing. So as a whole, these are all great additions to my collection and incredibly cool additions to the Para Bellum Conquest line. Yet again, more insanely cool fantasy-style dinosaurs that I highly recommend picking up. They have, again, tons of stuff on their store, so you just have a lot to choose from, not just dinosaurs, all sorts of mythical monsters and everything else on there as well. So I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase these right now on the Para Bellum website, so you can head on over there, grab yourself a set of these incredibly cool hunting party Raptors and start building and painting today, because trust me, it is an absolute blast. Or again, browse around the website, find basically whatever you are interested in, because there's just a lot on there and a lot to kind of take in. And I actually have a discount code to purchase some of the Para Bellum figures as well, so make sure you check the description, as I will include the discount code down there, as well as, again, a link to these figures. So not only can you purchase yourself some of these awesome figures, you can save a little money while doing so. So make sure you check these out. Make sure you grab some Para Bellum figures today, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.